The rise and fall of Colin, illustrious McNegger. Colin McNegger grew up in the gritty neighborhoods of Chicago, a place where dreams often faded before they began. The second son of a single mother who worked 3 jobs, Colin's youth was marred by the daily grind of survival. But in the chaos, he found his salvation, a dilapidated boxing gym run by a retired fighter named Jimmy the Hammer Ray. Jimmy saw potential in the scrawny, scrappy kid who never backed down from a fight, even when his opponents towered over him. "You've got the heart of a lion, kid," Jimmy would say. Over time, Jimmy introduced Colin to mixed martial arts, and the teenager took to it like a natural, blending boxing with wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and Muay Thai. By the time Colin turned 22, he was a force to be reckoned with, earning the nickname Colin the Illustrious for his ability to endure punishment and outlast opponents. His rise through the ranks was meteoric, culminating in a title fight for the 155-pound championship of the world. Against all odds, he knocked out the reigning champion with a vicious head kick in the 4th round. In one night, Colin went from a local hero to a global sensation. The downfall begins. Fame, however, was a double-edged sword. The millions poured in, along with sponsors, ad deals, and an entourage of people who told him only what he wanted to hear. Colin, who had once lived on dollar-menu meals, now burned through cash as if it were infinite. Fast cars, luxurious mansions, and wild parties became the norm. But it wasn't just the money. Colin's newfound fame attracted trouble. He fell into a toxic relationship with an influencer known for her wild lifestyle. The tabloids loved their volatile pairing, but their nights were filled with drinking, drugs, and public altercations. The final straw came when Colin, drunk and enraged after an argument at a nightclub, assaulted a patron who had insulted him. The incident was caught on camera. His victim suffered severe injuries, and the court showed no mercy. Despite his lawyer's best efforts, Colin was sentenced to 5 years in prison for aggravated assault. Prison life. Life in prison was a brutal reality check for the former champion. Stripped of his title, wealth, and adoring fans, Colin was just another inmate. His notoriety made him a target, especially among inmates who resented his fame or had lost bets on his fights. They taunted him endlessly, calling him the champ with sneering disdain. In the showers, Colin became an easy target for humiliation. He'd drop the soap, and the laughter would echo like a cruel chorus. The guards did little to intervene. Back in his cell, his cellmate, a burly, tattooed lifer with a wicked sense of humor, mocked him for his vulnerabilities. "You're biting the pillow now, champ," he'd sneer, punctuating it with a menacing grin. For the first time in his life, Colin's will seem to break. Redemption. Months turned into years. Colin began to realize that his survival depended on more than physical strength, it required humility and self-reflection. He started training again, using the prison yard as his gym. Fellow inmates joined him, drawn to his discipline and determination. He taught them techniques, shared stories of his rise, and slowly earned their respect. Though Colin would never return to the octagon, he dreamed of using his experience to inspire others. By the time he left prison, he was a changed man, scarred by his mistakes but determined to forge a new path. As he stepped out into the sunlight on the day of his release, Colin knew one thing for sure: the world might remember him for his rise and fall, but his next chapter was entirely up to him.